Hello and welcome back to Raze Gaming. My name is Hollow and today we have the sub 20% build for you. This is an extremely fun build that lets you essentially become a god when you get 20% health or lower, while also healing to 18% whenever you fall below it. This allows for huge burst when you do get low, and you get a massive reduction of damage taken when you're there, so you're actually safer when you're at that health. We have the maximum health we can manage to make that 20% actually have a lot of health to work with, and in general, even before that sub 20%, we do take low damage, we deal a lot, and it makes this a very fun build to play, since we're strong generally, and then we go Super Saiyan when below 20%. People simply do not expect it when you're fighting them in PvP, they just don't know what's coming. So, let's dive into the build. Let's start with the actual equipment we're wearing. This is the Death's Poker weapon, and this shield, quite an interesting looking shield, is the Twinbird Kite shield. Both weapons actually come from the death birds found around the game at night alone, and they'll have some very interesting drops, often to do with the benefit of being low health. The shield, when you're at low health, which is 20% or lower, the shield will boost your attack and defense, making you deal more damage and take less. These two talismans, the Red-Feathered Branchsword and the Blue-Feathered version, well, these also do similar. We get extra attack power when low health from the red one, and from the blue one, we get extra defense. But the weapon itself, the Death's Poker, I absolutely love this one. It only requires 11 intelligence to run, and you don't really want to pump more than that because it scales at a D. Where you want to put your stats is more towards Dex because that's got the B scaling, and this is a physical and magical weapon because it is actually a frost weapon, causing frost buildup when you attack. When we get that frost proc on a target, what's going to happen is they're going to take a nice burst of damage, and then for quite a long time they are going to be frozen or freezing, and at that point they take increased damage as well. As a weapon, it is a great sword moveset, which is solid, but it's all about the Ash of War, the incredibly named Ghost Flame Ignition, which has two types you can do. You press it and you stab, dealing damage, interrupting enemies, and there's a small bomb explosion. But if we choose to do a light attack, we break that bomb and spread it out, dealing icy fire damage. When a boss stands in that, it's going to take nice damage, and when a player stands in that, it's also going to do nice damage, creating a safe zone for you as well. When we do a heavy attack, it's going to blow up in an AoE around you, dealing high single impact damage. This is incredibly good in PvP, where you're able to trade using this in a consistent and reliable way. So we have a powerful weapon that creates its own power buffs, and then we have power buffs from getting low health. How can we make being low health better? Well, we want to make sure that we have a lot of health to work with. So there's a lot of ways we can deal with that. Statistically, we can run 80 Vigor to give us lots of health. We can run the Crimson Amber Medallion +2, which fastly raises your maximum health. We can run the Crimson Spill Crystal Tear from your Wondrous Physic that will boost your max health as well. And we can run the Morgott's Great Rune finally to greatly raise our maximum health. That Wondrous Physic lasts a grand total of 3 minutes, which is definitely long enough for any fight, and that brings us to the ridiculous 2,992 hit points. So what is 20% of that? Well, we just times that by 0.2, and that brings us down to 598 health to work with when we're at 20% and now supercharged. The armor will give you 8 health a second when you're fully equipping it. We get a 20% damage increase when Red Branch is active, 5% damage increase when the shield is active, 50% damage reduction. That's 50% reduction from the Blue-Feathered. That's crazy. And then again, another 5% damage reduction from the shield when that's active. That is how we go Super Saiyan. That's what happens when we go low health. But we want to give it any extra edge we can to make ourselves survivable at 20% or lower, right? We've got the Dragon Crest Great Shield Talisman. This just gives us a little bit more physical damage reduction and survivability, which is obviously very important. Let's take a look then what happens when we actually reach this health. So I am currently standing at 18% health. Perfect, we're under 20%. Things are activating. I'm at 808 AR. When we're buffed up, we're at 1088, which is incredibly good. So those are some big numbers, right? We're able to do big damage, take barely any, go Super Saiyan when we're low, and people don't seem to expect that I have so much health in general. We're strong without that like 20% buff stuff anyway, but when we do go to that 20% or lower, trading becomes incredible. Not only am I doing ridiculous burst damage now, which is very scary for them to deal with suddenly, but you see people, they get excited, right? I'm low, they think I'm one hit away, they go for the killing trade, right? And I take no damage and deal ridiculous damage, so they just lose and they don't even know why. The Death Poker is an incredible tool for PvP in general. Again, I rate this as one of the best intelligence weapons. Its Ash of War gives you that big armor so you can actually get the effect off. And even if you get interrupted, there's still a bomb going off right next to them, which is good for us. You can see that when I'm buffed up, the ticks of the fire damage get really scary. But it's that big bomb, the explosion, that's perfect for trading. The actual poke does damage, which interrupts them. Then there's the fire they're standing next to. They're panicking with that. They may roll it. And then the bomb goes off, which usually catches people on that roll, which is hilarious, again, when I'm super mode and dealing way more damage. This has been an extremely fun build for me to play in PvP just because of how surprised people are when I get low and then I basically take half the damage and deal double. In PvE, it works much the same, right? So if I intentionally let the boss take me down to lower than 20%, I get all those buffs and I'm able to do big bursts of damage. 2,000 damage per Ash of War pop at that point. That's super deadly, and obviously it's going to do a lot of burst. It's halving this boss's health in one single hit. But that really isn't necessary, guys. When you're playing this build, you don't have to intentionally make yourself go down to 20% when you're playing. As you can see, against other bosses, I am absolutely devastating these enemies, doing lots of damage, taking little, very survivable, never really have to heal. And then if I happen to take too much damage and go to that 20%, I get the regen, I get the damage reduction, I get the boost to my damage, and I start doing even more. But I don't have to make myself get there. It just happens naturally, and then I get to enjoy the benefits when I'm there. I found it to be much more consistent of a build because of that fact, because it's effective even when you're not at that point. So really, I mean, big props to Josh for coming up with this. He was like, oh, there's loads of items in this game that benefit you being at 20% or lower, and decided let's try and make a build. And this is the result. It's really fun. Let me quickly go over how you get everything in this build that you need. Starting with the weapon then, the Death's Poker. We get this from the south point of Caelid, just next to the southern Aeonia Swamp Bank Grace. Right here is going to be a wandering bird, a death bird, and that only spawns at night. So you just come over here and defeat it, and then you'll get yourself the Death's Poker. Much the same, to get the shield, the Twinbird Kite shield, we're going to need to kill another death bird. This one is here at the Altus Plateau region, just east of the Hermit Merchant Shack Grace, just over here on this hill, in the corner, in this ring of these death snail enemies. When you're here at night and you step here, the death bird will spawn, and then you defeat it to get the shield. As you may recognize the armor set, this full thing, the Royal Remains armor set, comes from defeating Ensure, the NPC that doesn't speak to you, that stands outside the entrance to Gideon's room. When you pick up the Haligtree Secret Medallion, left or right side, either side, when you return to the round table, he will invade you and attack you, and after you kill him, the round table will return to normal, and then his loot will be here where you can get his armor set. For the Crimson Amber Medallion +2 then, the one that's going to greatly increase your health, you're going to need to come here to Lindell once it is actually covered in ash. And from the Grace, we're going to run over here. This is the entrance to the sewer now that you have caused the ash of this place. And when you drop down here, by dropping onto this rafter here, this body right here has that talisman on it. To get the Dragon Crest Great Shield talisman, the all-important talisman I run in many builds at this point, you're going to need to come to the Haligtree itself, and we're at the Drainage Channel Grace. From the Drainage Channel Grace, we're going to step outside and just follow this path. Essentially, we're just making our way to the top of this church or chapel, and once we drop in onto the rafter here, you're going to see these guys, and there's a chest right there. Inside of this chest is the talisman. To get the Red-Feathered Branchsword then, we're going to want to come here to the lakes region. This is the Scenic Isle Grace, just at the south point of the lakes, and right here on this rock is going to be where you walk at night to summon in the Death Bird, just ahead of me, this rock right here. And as you summon it in, you must kill it, and upon defeating it, you'll get the talisman. It spawns in when you step about here. To get the Blue-Feathered Branchsword, you need to come here. This is actually Limgrave, just southeast of the Warmaster Shack. At the top of Limgrave is this sort of rock, similar to the last one. And when we step on this at night, another death bird will spawn in. and when we defeat it, we get the talisman. To get yourself Morgott's Great Rune for the greatly increased max health, very important. This is from here. Once you've defeated Morgott himself, the rune will appear at the tower. You just need to come here. So this is the Divine Tower of East Altus. As you're leaving Limgrave, you're going to cross that bridge to go to the mountaintops of the giants, but instead of going on that way, you're going to go this way towards the tower. And after defeating the boss here, you'll be able to go up to the top and claim your rune from the fingers here. Last but not least then, to get the Crimson Spill Crystal Tear, which is also going to increase our max health, you're going to want to come here to the Altus Plateau. We are right next to the Minor Erd Tree in the sort of main crater area, and there is a boss there called Wormface. If you go defeat him, he will drop exactly what you're after. But there you have it. That is the sub 20% build, an extremely fun build to play for both PvP and PvE. But yeah, I think the most joy I got out of this build, for sure, was when people would see me low health, get excited, try to trade with me, and severely regret it. It was just so funny. Definitely going to be playing more of this. I really like the death poke in general, so any excuse to use it, I'm very happy. And I also really like the design of this shield. Once again, props and credit to Josh for coming up with this build. I've made my small adaptations, but it is his build. If you'd like to see more content like this, more builds in general, please drop a like on the video so we can keep making them. But for now, I've been Hollow, you've been you. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.